And moving on now, the dust has barely settled since the U.S. carried out its audacious raid on Venezuela and kidnapped its president. But the U.S. Energy Secretary is claiming that the people of the South American nation are now the ones firmly in charge of their own destiny. Although he said that Washington now held a certain sway over the interim authorities.
Do you know what she's been told about her future role in government in Venezuela? Should she be allowed to run in future elections?
Oh, look, yeah, it's not us that are going to tell Delcy what her future role is. You know, that's ultimately going to be up to the Venezuelan people, not up to the United States government. We are here to steer reforms that'll enshrine property rights, rule of law, improve the conditions for people in Venezuela so that we've had 8 million people flee the country. We want conditions good so people come back to Venezuela. The crime and drug threat to the United States gets reduced. And then we have enormous commercial opportunities for Venezuelans, for Americans, and the whole hemisphere.
However, reports from a U.S.-funded opposition journalist claim that the Department of Justice has drawn up a secret indictment against the acting president in case she derails.
You know, she's sanctioned. She has been sanctioned since 2017. She and her brother by the U.S., by the European Union. But she doesn't have, let's say, an open and formal investigation against her. One of the information we manage is that U.S. is holding an indictment against her to make it public, just in case she derails.
So they have it over her head.
Yeah.
Now, Delcy Rodriguez has been at the helm in Caracas ever since the U.S.-led operation and capture of Nicolas Maduro at the beginning of the year. Ever since coming to power as an interim leader, she has taken a firm stance on her country's independence, Maduro's innocence, and against any U.S. meddling in Venezuela's internal affairs. In a recent interview, she said that her government is weighing up potential cooperation with Washington.
Has he invited you to the United States? Do you anticipate you'll be visiting the United States soon?
Mira, considerando estos contactos realmente.
Well, yes, I can say that I have been invited to the States and that we're contemplating coming there once we establish this cooperation and we can, you know, move forward with everything we're doing together.
All right, let's get some reaction to this story now and speak to former Venezuelan diplomat and Orinoco Tribune's editor, Jesus Rodriguez Espinoza. Jesus, I'm glad to have you join me now. So, reports claim that the U.S. has leverage over Delcy Rodriguez, yet she continues to declare that Venezuela is completely independent, but a willingness to cooperate with Washington. So, what is your take on whether Venezuelans truly believe that Rodriguez is capable of resisting U.S. pressure?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, most of the Venezuelan people, especially Chavistas, see very favorable the work that Delcy Rodriguez has been doing since she was forced by the U.S. kidnapping of President Chavez to serve as acting president. So there is a real unity among Chavista forces around her. But of course, as someone just said, I mean, not only she has a gun on her head, Venezuela as a sovereign nation has a gun on its head. So it's important to understand that. And it's a reality. No one can deny that.
Right. Now, what do you make of reports that the U.S. may be preparing an indictment against Venezuela's interim leader in case she goes off the rails?
That's absolutely possible. I mean, we don't have to trust all the reports that are, you know, running or spread by mainstream media or far right, you know, journalists. But the reality is that President Trump and Marco Rubio, a few hours after the U.S. January 3rd attacks, they literally said that Delcy Rodriguez's fate might be worse than Maduro's fate. So that was basically an assassination threat. So everything can happen coming from the U.S., which is a rogue state and has been accustomed, especially in recent years, to do whatever they want despite international rules.
All right, let me ask this. What would the U.S. classify as derailing anyway? What do you make of that?
Maybe not complying with U.S. demands, but it's important to also to portray the reality from a different perspective, which is that the U.S. has been forced, due to the strength of Chavismo, to deal with the Chavista leadership in this moment, led by President Delcy Rodriguez. But it's important to also change the perspective and see that it is the U.S. that has been somehow dodging and accepting to deal with Chavismo because they were not able to achieve their main goal, which was regime change. So that doesn't mean that they are not going to try to keep pushing for regime change. They are doing that, and we in Venezuela, the Chavista people, we know exactly that they are playing that card, and they will eventually cut the head of Chavismo whenever they have the chance. You know what I mean?
Now, the U.S. has already used this playbook against Maduro. What legal grounds are there for such actions against her?
None. It's just, controlling the narrative and presenting themselves like the paladin of justice and giving an excuse to do whatever they want. But it is an excuse that actually almost no one around the world truly, believe. But they do it, and they will keep doing it because no country in the world has been able to stand in front of the U.S. and really challenge this rogue state behavior. So it's important to call the countries of the world to do something, because the international whole world scene will become a mess eventually if nothing is done.
All right. Now we have to leave it here now. Jesus Rodriguez Espinosa, former Venezuelan diplomat and Orinoco Tribune's editor, thank you for your time.
Un abrazo from Caracas.